This is episode 172 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. 2020 just gets better and better, Manzano.
Yeah, got wildfires, things are burning, aliens in Venus. No, wait, gas aliens in Venus, and busted shoulder.
Busted shoulder. Marcel's broken. Will Imperials now have more inclusion than Rebels? Higwood.
Gray can get a husband, but Chewbacca can't get a medal?
And Ryan, and still, your reigning, defending, undisputed Alpha Intergalactic Lore Master until defeated, Stanazuski.
I am on top ski, but can't be stopped ski. Can't be topped ski. Opponents are dead before the mic drop skis.
Oh, spit it. Spit it. That was fantastic, Ryan. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, so before we go too far, I want to remind you guys that this commercial-free episode, when it's uploaded later to YouTube, is brought to you guys by our patrons, so thank you for that. But also, we have a Patreon update. If you are a patron, if you didn't see my posts on Patreon or on Discord, we had to kind of do an emergency swap here. The art that we originally had there, the Scimitar Bomber, is basically wasn't ready in time for printing. So instead, we're swapping to a piece of art that we actually commissioned during first edition and have not re-released. I've been holding on to these for this scenario exactly, and it happened. So here we go. We're releasing Captain Nim there. That we're going to have the plastic version and the paper version. Now, one thing I did put in my post there is like if the finished prints, the plastic and the paper, get to me before October 10th, they should be able to be in the envelopes with everything else. No problem. If it's after that, then we'll just ship it separately. But everybody will get their stuff. We should be good. Everything else is already ready to go. It's in the basement, nicely organized. I still got to sort some Lego pieces, but want to make sure just to get that information out there for you. Also, we stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, except for this Saturday. Kind of. There's no Flight Club this Saturday because it's Concord Dawn, people. Concord Dawn. This is the Australian Galactic Championship qualifier that's happening. Now let's wrap your heads around this, okay? If you're in Australia, the player meeting starts at 9 a.m. Sydney time, and then we start playing at 10 a.m. Sydney time. For anybody in the United States, here's a reference for what that means for us because of time zone magic. Mind you, remember that's 9 a.m. Saturday and 10 a.m. Saturday for the Australian players. The stream starts at 7 p.m. on Friday. Let that sink in, okay? Again, time zone magic, which means if you're playing and you're in the United States, that the player meeting starts at 6 p.m. Central on Friday. What I would suggest, if you are playing in the event and you're not entirely sure on the time zones, go to timeanddate.com. I have a time converter right now. I'm placing it in the chat if you're watching live, and I'm going to include it in the link of this video as well. You just go ahead. I have it set to right now 9 a.m. Australian time, and also then you just put in your city, and it will show you what that equals, including the date for that link. So go ahead, take a look at that. But super excited as of right now. We have 80 people signed up. It is suspected initially to be the lowest attended of them all. So if you were looking for that chance to snipe an invite to Coruscant, this is the place to do it. But we definitely have still some people who haven't signed up. I would suspect that we end up pretty close to 100. At least I'm hoping. If you want to get a ticket right now, go ahead, head to goldsquadronpodcast.com and get it done. By the way, last day to buy a ticket is going to be Thursday at 11 p.m. At 11:59 p.m. Chicago time. Okay, so Thursday is the last day to buy a ticket in the United States, which would be Friday, like midday in Australia. Which would be Friday midday in Australia. Oh my God! All right, time zone craziness. All right, we're done with all that. We're into our main topic. All right, into our main topic. So today, what we're planning on doing is we are planning to create a tier list for the upcoming LAAT and HMP gunship releases. We don't know the points yet. This is completely off the cuff. from the gut what we suspect, looking at the abilities, what we think is good, what we think is bad. We're going to analyze what we've seen there. We're going to quickly go through these and give you our opinions. We just haven't had a chance to do it because the articles kind of landed in weird spots. It was like right before an event where we were working on something else, and then right after an event where we were analyzing the list. So here we go. We're going to start with the LAAT. So we're starting in the Republic. We'll get to the HMP. All you separatist lovers, we'll get there. I promise, I promise, I promise. Here we go. We're going to start by talking about the pilots. Okay, we're going to start by talking about the pilots. Right now, I believe we've seen only 4. And did I miss any of the pilots, guys? I just want to double check. Nope. All right. Looks like we're good. So we have 2 Initiative 2s, Initiative 3, and Initiative 4. Of course, when it comes to the generic, we'll just use that as a baseline to talk about the stats that we have. So on the action bar, we have Focus, Red Reinforce, Target Lock, Rotate, and the Reload action. 2 dice, primary gun on it. It is a bow tie turret. Then we have 1 agility, 8 hull, 2 shields, and 2 charges that go off of the fire convergence ship ability, which reads, while a friendly ship performs a non-turret attack, if the defender is in your turret arc, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, the attacker re-rolls up to 2 attack dice. So let's start just by talking about that ability. Will, what are your thoughts on just the ship chassis ability that it comes with? It's free. It's included. Baked in.
It is baked in. That's very interesting. So with the single recursion, you get an extra 1, but most of the time you're only going to get this then once per round. And you do need to have the gunship in the fight because it requires it to have arc on the defender as well. We've seen Sinker in this same faction providing a similar benefit do really well. So I think, but that was more of a mass ability like Howl Runner. Mm-hmm. This is more focused, and I feel like it's very powerful. But it reminds me a lot of a ship I like a lot, which is Dutch. Dutch gives a reroll out to a friendly, and I think that's very powerful. So I think this in as well is going to be very powerful, especially with the side turret. Mm-hmm. You know how those Republic love the side arcs.
That's true. So here's my question, though. So I know a lot of people are going to try at first to mash as many of these in a list as possible, which means that in order to actually use this ability, you're going to have to pay a tax, and that tax is some type of non-turret weapon, right? So I think that's something we have to make sure we put out there, is that this ability doesn't work if you're just putting out as many as you can naked. You do need to pay for some type of additional weapon, which we're going to get to some of those that are included in here, but just something to keep in mind. As for the generic, we don't really... This is the hardest one, I think, out of all of them to place because we don't know the points, so we're not actually going to place it in a tier. But we're just going to kind of set it to the side, and we'll start with the tiering with the Initiative 2 Hound. Ryan, go ahead and read us Hound.
So Hound, the I2 LAAT, after a friendly small ship in your turret arc gains a deplete or strain. If you have no tokens of that type, you may transfer that token to you. Couple key things. 1, there is no range restriction on this. So there just needs to be a friendly ship in your turret arc. So like it doesn't need to be range 1, range 2, range 3. It's just arc. So pretty easy to follow. This might make your gas clouds less of a hurtful thing to go through now, right? So pulling that strain token. I actually think Hound right now will just be okay. I think the generic will probably be a better buy for points, but I think Hound is going to come into his own once Patience comes out, which is in the ETA2 Interceptor pack that we saw previewed around Gen Con time, where it's I believe it's at the start of engagement, you may take a deplete to recover a force. What if you just recovered a force and deplete just went to Hound instead?
All right, where are you placing this, Ryan? What do you think?
This is just among the LAATs, or just in general with everything in the game?
This is within. I mean, this is with everything in the game. This is the official tiers. So where do you think this is going to end up?
It's hard for me not to put every single LAAT in A, because that fire convergence ability is really that good.
Okay.
But because the generic is probably going to be a better buy for the cost, and just based upon the ship chassis ability, Hound probably sits around a B tier.
Okay. Excellent. And let's move on to Warthog. Take it, Marcel.
All right, mute button. Warthog, Initiative 3. After you or a friendly non-limited ship at range 0 to 2 are destroyed during the engagement phase, that ship is not removed until the end of that phase. So basically just preventing initiative, your ships to being initiative killed. And it's got a range 0 to 2 bubble, and it plays really well with the fire convergence of just providing support, reroll support for those other ships, and yeah, I think it's a really good ability. Isn't there a TIE Interceptor that had something like that? Or there was a ship that said when you die you don't. You're
talking on Fell's Wrath.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which we
That's
don't
old
have.
school.
R.I.P. Fell's Wrath.
Okay. Oh well, Fell's Wrath is back for for as many ships as they have it with Warthog. So Warthog Wrath. So I think it's a really good ability. That's one of the worst things. One of the worst feelings is just getting your ship killed before it can shoot back, and it doesn't seem to have any like you may do this only once. It doesn't, or you may spend the charge. So it sounds like you can do it as often as. So if 3 of your ships get killed for whatever reason, then you can go ahead and still shoot with them till the end of the round, as well as any support abilities. For example, Luminara or Obi-Wan can still use their ability, their support abilities, even after they've been killed. So I'm gonna throw that as oh god, I want to throw this one as an S. But
it does seem pretty good, right? Not being able to initiative kill somebody, meaning like if you got some more fragile ships out there, that gives you a lot of flexibility. It also can paint a target on Warthog's back, but the fact that he doesn't die either, not in the initial joust, and I mean these things have 10 health. They're gonna take quite a beating. Yeah, so I mean I'm not gonna argue with you. Putting it in S, it seems pretty strong.
I'm going to say S because, again, and it's not just, especially with the Jedi, being supported with the Jedi, you got the abilities that can stay in play, and you can continue to use, even after you shoot, you can continue to use their abilities. So,
well, not necessarily true. It's a specifically friendly, non-limited ship.
Right.
Gotcha.
So it can't be unique pilots, including Warthog himself.
Got it. Oh, so it doesn't work on Warthog.
No, it does work. It does work on himself because it does say after you. It starts.
Yeah. Okay, got it. So it does work on himself, just not. That still doesn't change my mind. I'm still keeping it S. Because again, these ships want to be around a bunch of little generics anyway. Mm-hmm. So. They want to be throwing off rerolls, so I'm still going to leave it as an A. Oh no, as an S. I said S. Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, for the Killer Beard Hawk.
All right, Hawk. Let me lean into my screen here so I can read it. At the start of the end phase, each friendly ship at range 0 to 1 that has a revealed maneuver of speed 3 to 5 may gain 1 strain token to perform a barrel roll or boost action. All right, so this is end of the round, repositioning with a speed requirement similar to Afterburners, and you get on strain. Now, the strain is, I think this is initially the weakest of the pilots, but it. What do I say?
It has the most shenanigan potential.
Yeah, like it combos, I think, the best. Because the strain can be mitigated with just a blue maneuver, right? This is the in phase, so you could just clear that strain unless... Yeah, no one could even shoot at you. As long as you just dial in a blue, you will not actually take that strain. The repositioning reminds me of, I always think about it like Supernatural or like a Phantom Decloak, being able to pre-dial reposition. Plus, now you get to see the reposition and then set a dial as well. I think could be very powerful. This also makes me think just what Ryan was saying about Hound, that I think Hawk could get more powerful with the ETA 2 coming out, because they already repositioned in the system phase. So now you can double reposition before your dial each time, which I think could be very powerful. You can also reposition and move around and block lower initiative and things. So I think this is going to be pretty cool. But here's the real thing: is that Hawk can boost. He's a gunship who can boost. So here's my question to you guys about him before I give him my ranking. If the archetype of, like, say, like 2 Jedi and a LAAT becomes popular, you pretty much have to bring Hawk because of the well, not because of his ability, but I was going to say coordinate, but I guess these things don't have natural coordinate, do they?
Mm-mm.
No, there's a Jedi in there for that, but
right.
There's a Jedi for that.
But
assuming if you're bringing it as like a palp carrier or coordinator / support ship, that this would be the best one for that specific archetype.
But potentially, yeah, because I4 coordinates better than I2 coordinate. Sometimes it's because low ones are still nice for anti-blocking potential, like you're moving, guaranteeing your coordinate first. I think one thing that I just kind of caught that was interesting with Hawk, with the ETAs in the future, is because Hawk triggers at end phase and the ETA triggers at system phase, you can do the same reposition twice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Boost,
you
boost, or barrel roll.
I think
Hilarious.
Another important thing to put in here as well is notice that it doesn't say anything about being on the action bar. So this means that ships that don't have boost or barrel roll can boost or barrel roll. Like Will said earlier, Hawk can do it himself. Additionally, another caveat there that it does say action. So if it's a turn where Hawk reinforced, doing the red reinforce, he would not be able to use his own ability.
Yeah. I think the biggest restriction on this ship is not only the range being 0 to 1, but it's also that the specific ship that he wants to use the ability on needs to do a speed 3 to 5, and Hawk needs to stay close to them to do that while they're doing that fast speed. It's a really weird niche area to be.
Yeah, because you can't choose the like order activation or anything. That to in the in phase be 0 to 1 of him. But I mean, he can boost though, so I'm a medium base boosting turret. So I think it's still pretty good. Even though I'm pretty sure their blues are trash though, right? He's never clearing that strain. Is
he? They have the blues of a 1 and 2 straight. That's it.
Yeah. So no, just whatever. Focus up. Trying to get some shots off.
Where are we putting this
Man,
one?
I really am gonna put him into A. I think my initial estimate is that he's going to be a little bit overcosted at first because of the cautiousness of putting him into that 2 ace support archetype.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the upgrades now. We'll go ahead and place those in their slots and continue there. We're going to move on now to the upgrades. I choose you. LAAT upgrades. Here we go.
Oh, I had Hound at B, but A's probably good too. Just that fire convergence is so good.
Whoosh. Oops. I mixed those up. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's get started here. Marcel, take Sakura, please. I love Sakura.
All right, Alaskara. While it's a crew, it gives you a force plus it gives you the ability to focus and then spend the force or to a purple coordinate. While an enemy ship in your bullseye performs an attack, if the defender is friendly and that range 0 to 2, the defender may change one blank result to a focus result. Yeah, and it doesn't say that you have to spend the force or anything for this, so it's a passive mod. Yeah, it's going to be an amazing support ship. So, what are we talking about? Are we talking about just where do we rank it, or
yeah, where do you rank it, and maybe because we do have a lot of cards to get through today, so maybe like a point or two, and then we got to roll.
Yeah, I just like it that it's not, you don't have to spend the force to trigger the ability. So you probably want to have it on something that's a little bit higher initiative. Try to get, an enemy ship in your, so it's got to be in your bullseye. Really great support ability. That's going on that Hawk. And I'll throw that as, focus coordinate is just too good. I'm going to have to throw that into the S category.
All right.
Yep. Don't care about ability. Give me that focus link coordinate.
Every time. All right, Ryan, take Captain Rex.
Clone Captain Rex, we saw at Gen Con, I believe. While you perform an attack, you may spend one focus result. If you do, each friendly ship that has the defender in its bullseye may gain one strain to perform a focus action. That's a lot of things to get for that special thing to occur. And to get any value out of him, you theoretically want more than one ship to be able to do that. I'm sorry, Rex. I wish you had a cooler ability. You'll probably be cheap, but C tier.
Yep. Why? Okay. Sidebar. Why does FFG hate Captain Rex? Like, really? Everything except his first edition TIE Fighter was trash. Is absolute trash. So bad. Anyway, we'll move on.
So sad.
We'll move on. All right, Will, take 5s.
All right, 5s. A Republic crew. After you perform an attack that missed, if the defender's initiative is equal to or greater than your initiative, place one evade or focus token on this card. Before you engage, you may remove one focus token from this card, remove one token from this card to gain one matching token. This is a big thing. I feel like this wave and maybe a couple other cards, but benefiting missing more often. And I don't know if that's good or not. But I do know evades are good. And focus tokens aren't bad either. So this is going to be interesting on a LAAT with cluster missiles, snapshot, R2-D2 Y-Wing. I guess arcs, but I don't know. They shouldn't be missing though, right? Well, maybe for their rear arc shots. This is interesting. I don't like the miss qualification of it, but I do love hoarding tokens on it though. Like first edition Ray, man, the good times. This is going to be first depending, I guess. But I think this could be an A tier card.
Okay. We'll go ahead and set it there. Next one, Ghost Company. So it is a crew and a gunner. You got to have both slots. You also need to be Republic and have the rotate action, aka this is built for the LAAT, is what that says. Plus maybe some other ship that has all those qualifications at some point. So it says, after you perform a primary attack, if you are focused, you may perform a turret attack against a ship you have not attacked this round as a bonus attacked. So this is like a worse Biston, essentially, is what I'm reading here. But he does give you the rotate to focus action, which can be quite useful. Being able, that's a common issue with ships that require rotate to shoot, is if you use your rotate to shoot, if you use your rotate to get your arc in the spot it's supposed to be, you might not have a mod. You're able to do it at this point. Looking at the abilities that we've talked about so far and the utility of the LAAT, I feel like Ghost Company is going to be overlooked for other builds in the ship. I'm going to go ahead and place it in the B tier for that reason. It does look like it has some utility, and I think that at a certain cost, there might be a point where it might jump up, but I think just base reading and looking at some other options, I'm going to go ahead and set it in B. All right. Kit Fisto, Marcel.
Kit Fisto, Republic, 1 crew, gives you a force plus a purple evade. At the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 friendly ship at range 0 to 1 and spend the force. If you do, it may perform a red evade action. So basically, it's allowing you to get a purple evade or give someone else a red evade. It's the thing that's good about this is that it's at the start of the engagement phase, so you know that you know when to use it, and also it doesn't say. But one of the problems is that it's range 0 to 1. I think it's basically giving it to itself. So I don't know. I think to me, I'm seeing this more of like a 10-point. Just give somebody a force. I think the other things that are on here are probably better than that. So but force is good. I'm gonna give it an A, but only because it's giving you a force.
Okay.
Because we know force works. That's the only reason.
The force does. That's not how the force works. Actually, it does. All right, Ryan, Plo Koon.
Plo Koon, crew gives you a force charge and a purple reinforce at the start of the end phase. If you are reinforced, you may choose 1 friendly ship at range 0 or in your side arcs at range 1. That ship removes 1 deplete or strain or repairs 1 face-up damage card. So there's a lot of options there. It doesn't need to trigger with the force charge, but it does require you to be reinforced. It allows the LAATs to be reinforced without stressed, which is pretty solid. And end phase, removing deplete or strain. Plo seems kind of at home, maybe on someone like is it the same timing as Hawk? I think they're both end phase, so. And it says friendly ship, not other friendly ship at range 0. So if you're Hound and you took a deplete or strain, you could, get rid of it if you didn't get rid of it during the engagement phase as well. Probably same tier as Kit Fisto, not an overly crazy ability. It frees up a little bit of the dial for the reinforce. Might have some synergies, but it's still a force charge, A tier.
I don't know if you guys know, we think the force is really good. This is hopefully a pattern you've noticed. Alrighty, next, the Wolf Pack.
That's me. And so Wolfpack is a crew gunner for the Republic in Zudeg. After a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 defends, if the attacker is in your firing arc, the defender may gain 1 strain token to acquire a lock on the attacker. I think this is going to be Hound's, who is probably part of the wolf pack, given his name. This is going to be Hound's best friend. Let your torrents die, give them the strain, who cares? You'll survive to shoot double modified, get it.
Yeah, I agree. This seems pretty solid. You think this is probably gonna be pretty expensive though?
If the attacker is in your firing arc, I mean, all these LAATs have to be in combat, so like that's kind of like not a main thing. And no, I mean, but it doesn't have a force charge, so and eats up 2 of your slots as well.
True.
So, I don't know what's Sloan priced at. A lot.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Like whatever half of Sloan is, because this is only half of Sloan's ability.
All right. So where are you going to place it?
Oh, this is going to be in B tier. I think it does have one archetype that it works with. The what did I just say? Hound. That's right. Hound and the Swarm. But outside of that, I really don't think too many ships are willing to take that strain. Oh wait, you know what? Who's the other one?
Is it Hound or Warthog, the one that doesn't let your ships die?
Yes, I'm confusing both of them, aren't I? I'm talking about Hound, who could let their friendlies just take the strain and die. They might be dead already. You know what I mean? Like, man, whatever. Like, I'll take the strain. But I could see it working on Warthog in a smaller list, I guess. Ooh, yeah, I'm still going to say B tier. It's probably going to be too expensive to be utilized as a force multiplier.
Kind of in that similar boat with, I think, also with Ghost Company, where it's a certain archetype for a LAAT, and I think competitively we're going to end up seeing LAATs used in a little bit of a different way. Sit there at the B tier.
Yep.
All right, now we have Yoda. All right, Yoda, the card we've been asking for a long time. Let's talk about the ability. After another friendly ship at range 0 to 2 fully executes a purple maneuver or performs a purple action, you may spend 1 force. If you do, that ship recovers 1 force. It is important to note that Yoda has 2 force charges on him and has purple coordinate. Now, a couple of quick tip level things here. Remember, any force card, just because it has 2 force on, doesn't mean you gain 2 force back every turn. It's 1 force. So if you've spent them both, it's just like normal. Don't get it twisted. All right. Just want to make sure we have that out there. It is only 1 crew slot because he's tiny. So here's my question. I look at the ability, and for me, I see the fact that Yoda has 2 force and an ability that is too situational to be used. This is essentially saying that it wants to play with other Jedi. The range restriction and the way, Jedi, sometimes they're together. What do you guys think? Like, for me, I'm looking at Yoda, and again, I want to put him in A tier just because it's 2 force, maybe even S tier, but the price will probably end up dropping it down to A. But I'm not in love with the ability.
No, it's situational. It's, with the new ships that are coming out, they have those K-turns, so the ability to K-turn without... They have like purple K-turns, right?
Purple sloop, yep.
Yeah,
Talon, yeah.
Yeah, purple
Talon?
Talon.
Okay.
So that it'll come in handy when that comes in, and I can also see it possibly in something like a, with any of the other Jedi, that if they're gonna get lit up, just take an evade and keep the force, so be able to do an evade and still keep all their force if you foresee that you're gonna basically take a lot of shots. But it's situational.
Yeah, I guess you can't forget that Yoda also adds purple coordinate to the ship. That is a big deal.
That's true.
True.
As
You know-
as an Ahsoka player, who I like using her force to, not for purple actions, it doesn't work like that, but to use her ability to trigger then like a purple evade. Yoda being able to help her like focus, evade, barrel roll. It sounds pretty good. There's also, there's also some Darth Sidious Yoda combinations, like putting them on the same team, which ends up being pretty goofy, where Yoda coordinates Palpatine to coordinate Yoda back, and then Yoda gives his force, and then Palpatine gives Yoda a focus and a stress. Like, it gets weird that for some reason they have synergy of all the characters.
I'm a fan.
Another thing, like even an oddball, Yoda on oddball, and get an Initiative 5 coordinator out there. Because I mean, what's adding coordination to an Initiative 5 or Initiative 6 is pretty. It's pretty up there. So, but you probably go with Isla in that case. It'll probably be cheaper. Focus coordinate.
Alrighty. Well, we are down now to the 2 upgrades here on the bottom of our sheet that can actually be used outside of the faction. This is where I think some of the discussions are going to get really interesting. So let's start with Deadeye Shot. Go ahead and take it, Marcel.
All right, Deadeye Shot. It's a small or medium ship talent, and it says while you perform a primary attack, if the defender's in your bullseye, you may spend a hit result or change a critical to a hit result. If you do, the defender exposes one of its damage cards.
And this is for small and medium base ships with talents.
Correct. So, and plenty of those to go around. So, I mean, it basically turns everyone into Thane, right? Essentially. Especially
yeah.
a little bit worse Thane, just a little bit, because you don't have focus.
Not really, because you can go from crit to hit, and you can still miss the shot, and so you're still getting the critical damage in by going from crit to hit, but you're not reducing the likelihood of you putting damage in. So it's a way of guaranteeing that the crit will stick without necessarily. Without necessarily having to give up one of your shots. I mean, is this going to be something that on the Nantex, maybe crack shot in this instead of marksmanship, or you still just throw marksman on there?
I mean, this would combo better with marksmanship.
Yeah, this and marksmanship.
Because this and marksmanship just says expose one of your cards. You're in my bullseye, expose a card. Here's my I'm in the same line of thinking as you, Marcel. Is this better than Crackshot or Predator?
No way.
No, because Crackshot says do a damage.
Yeah, that's right. Like, that ship, you only need to expose that ship's cards if it's dead. I guess that puts me down the line of thinking of, like, is this going to be the new 1-point talent slot that is going to replace Crackshot? Because marksmanship just isn't doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it might. If you have a 2-die gun, and you roll hit blank or hit blank.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Okay, just throw your. You know you're gonna miss anyway. I might as well expose a card.
Right.
Maybe.
So I mean, it's situational, but
could it have some utility on ships that have 2 talents? So I'm looking at A-wings.
A-wings, yeah.
Rebel A-wings. Maybe.
Are you going to take marksmanship in Deadeye though? Or are you going to take Crackshot in Deadeye?
I mean, I'm thinking.
I'd still take Crackshot.
I mean, yeah.
Always Crackshot.
I'm trying. I don't know.
No, this is the exact same like thought process that I was going through too. Of like, well, if this is 2 points, you might as well put it right in the garbage.
Yeah, it'll be. Isn't there a something that's coming out that gives auto like the bombs, those little
Concussion bombs, yeah.
Yeah, if there's things that puts damage straight into the hull, like the concussion bombs, maybe it'll work with if you got concussion bombs, and then these things are just setting them off into crits. Again, it's situational, so I don't think it's that good, but again,
Oh wait,
they're probably gonna be 1 point.
You know what? Here it is.
Will's found it. He's got
recoil. It's recoil. All right.
Recoil's so bad. Oh my god, he's so bad.
Oh, yeah, but you can Deadeye the whole arc though.
But at range one only.
Range 1 only.
Which means you're probably already at bullseye.
I hate recoil. Okay, I'm sorry. Recoil's ability is one of the stupidest abilities in the game. I'm sorry. I see somebody in the chat says they love recoil. Recoil is terrible. Like it's so bad. It's so bad.
If
I'm
he
sorry.
didn't, why does he have to be stressed to do it too? I don't understand. Linked actions, I guess.
Well,
Anyways,
all right.
yeah.
Recoil's ability is okay for the right price, but not more than Avenger and not more than an I4 silencer, and not for the same as Rush.
Now somebody prove me wrong, okay? Ready? Concord Dawn this weekend.
Recoil.
You know what I'll say after that? Be like, Recoil didn't win this game. The silencer chassis won the game. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's holding Recoil together. That's true.
That's about it. Okay, so where's Deadeye Shot going, Marcel?
Muted myself. Probably gonna put it a B.
All right. There it is in the B tier.
And it would probably be a C. If it's anything more than 1 point, it'll be a C. But at 1 point, it's a B.
Anything more than 1 point, it's in the trash.
Yeah, fact.
I'm gonna have some fun with the overlay here in a second as Ryan gives us Suppressive Gunner, which is just a gunner card. Anybody can use it as long as you got that slot.
Yep. And while you perform an attack, you may spend a focus result. If you do, the defender gains 1 deplete token unless it chooses to suffer 1 damage. So this, to me, sounds like it should be in the price range of Hotshot Gunner. It's got that negative effect used on other ships. Hotshot Gunner pulls away a focus or calculate. This basically pulls away an attack die coming back at the ship if it hasn't fired yet. It's definitely something that we need. It's something to watch out for sure. I feel like it's got to be close to the Hotshot Gunner cost because I'd be really concerned if this thing can be spammed.
Okay. Where do you think it's going to end up?
Man, gunners don't have to be on turret-only ships. You got Phantoms, you got Strikers as well to look at. A lot of times those ships would like to keep their focuses for defense sometimes. It's spending them to say, hey, because stacking depletes for the next turn is still really good. If you have a lot of ships that maybe take this or a small group and all get a chance to shoot an opposing ship, just because that other ship already shot doesn't mean they're not going to clear all their depletes for the next turn. It's going to make its way into competitive play. God, it's between B and A, I think. I'm gonna err on the side of FFG wants new things to be good, so I'm gonna think it's gonna end up at A.
All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna update our overlay here and just kind of give a quick summary.
Oh man, I just realized on Suppressive Gunner does not require it to be any particular kind of attack. That's interesting. So you can veteran turret gunner Star Fortresses with Suppressive Gunners. I think they're the only ship with
Double Gunner, yeah.
Double Gunner. Man, that's a lot of suppressive fire. You might be able to get 3 of those out there just suppressing.
Might actually be worth it too. One of the big issues with Star Fortresses is mitigating incoming fire.
Interesting.
All right, well, let's go ahead and update our list here. Had a little fun with this one. I put Deadeye Shot on there twice. All right, the dumpster is coming for Deadeye Shot if it's 2 or more points. So we'll go ahead. We'll take a peek at this one after the points come out and after it gets played a little bit and see how close or how off we were. Essentially, with those A-tier Force users, they're there not because of their ability, but mostly because they give the Force. All right, we're going to move on now to the HMP gunship. I know Ryan's excited to talk about this one, so we'll go ahead and get the party started. We're going to start with the pilots, of course, and with the generics. Again, we're not going to rank the generics because it's really dependent on where the points end up. We're going to use them just talk about the chassis itself. So. Actions, we have calculate, target lock, red roll, and then reload into a red calculate. It has a full front arc, so that means the entire front half of the ship, if you're in it, you can get shot. 2 attack dice there, 1 agility, 5 hull, 3 shields, and it has the network armed arm, a single arm, not armed. It says, you may spend your locks to re-roll attack dice, period. Or sorry, you cannot spend, oh my god, reading is hard today. You cannot spend your locks to reroll attack die. While you perform an attack, you may reroll a number of attack dice up to the number of friendly locks on the defender. So, your bros give you rolls with locks. Alrighty. So, Ryan, you've played a lot of Separatists, a lot of Swarms out there. What are your thoughts? And I know this might seem really simple for somebody who's maybe looked at it already, but I wanted to make it clear. Your thoughts on this ability versus network calculations.
So, baseline network calculations is better than network aim, just because of the sheer the difficulty difference of acquiring a lock on an opposing ship versus taking a simple calculate action, not committing to a specific target, whereas target lock will only work when it goes on a specific target. Now, the nice thing is if you have multiple ships helping support the gunship's ability, everyone can lock different things, and it helps the gunship. It may not necessarily help everyone else if they're not also all gunships, but helps the gunship long term because it basically has built-in FCS, except the more locks, the more rerolls you get. Now, because of that, it's going to get into one of the upgrades later, Kalani, which will help that target lock economy. But also, I feel like if you have even just one, but probably more than one of these in your list, you will basically spend the 5-point tax of the Dark One probe droids. It's too good already and too synergistic with network aim to not take. It just works with them really, really well.
Cool. It does come with an Initiative 3 as well. And, of course, I'm not ranking them, but the points, once we have them, we'll put it in there. They will, of course, probably be the cheapest ones we have. Let's start here, Will, with DGS 047.
Okay, this is a single pip unique I-1 adaptive intelligence. After you perform an attack, if the defender is in your front arc, you may acquire a lock on it. If the defender is in your bullseye, it gains 1 strain token. Now, obviously, that strain token could be mitigated by a blue maneuver, but I-1 is a popular initiative in the Separatist for vultures and hyenas, in addition to the Bactoid drones here on this chassis. So it does create a nice follow-up shot, especially if this 47 is just flying next to even just a single Bactoid drone. That shot could set up a reroll and a reduced agility die for it. So He's secretly a support ship, which does make a lot of sense. Initially, I think he's going to fall into the trap of being, what do I want to say, not efficient, and this is going to be an efficiency chassis for sure. I'm going to give him a solid B tier.
Do we think, based off the name Adaptive Intelligence, that this will be our tactical relay carrier?
It could be.
See, now you brought up Kalani, a relay upgrade card, and it did make me reevaluate which one would have the relay. But I think in all the art, except for the prototype, everybody has some sort of missile pods on them. So maybe they won't have that kind of restriction. Hard to say. But I could, the I-1 being the relay carrier.
So here's a couple thoughts I have on it. So while I like the ability in and of itself, it would be significantly more powerful at a higher initiative. So we have to realize that it is Initiative 1.
Yeah.
So if you're bringing a bunch of other Initiative 1s, it can act in that way where it's like, boom, we got an additional lock, which means we have more networked aimed out there. But do realize it's happening at Initiative 1. And the bullseye, I think it's probably going to be one of those where it's you're probably not playing for it. It's more of like if it happens, I'm just guessing. Or maybe if it has the tactical relay slot. And again, we don't know that. That's some of the spice that we need, the upgrade slots for that. But I think it's definitely interesting. You said B tier, right, Will? Just want to make sure I put it in the right spot.
Yeah, I think he's going to be B tier. He would have to be very cost effective or bring something unique like the relay option to outpass other Bactoid drones.
And I would say if the cost difference between this and DRK droids is equal to the cost of this and like the regular Initiative 1, you probably just bring the regular Initiative 1 and the DRK droids, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm really not excited about the luck, because Ryan said it too, of like, I'm gonna bring dark probe droids because it feels silly bringing like one of these gunships who has never came, and then like a bunch of Nantex who don't target lock, right? So I don't know. Could be interesting, but man, the bullseye ability. I think that's really what's putting him into the to the B tier. Is that this thing's got 180-degree arc, and I'm trying to get bullseyes with it. Nah.
I'm out. All right. Now the Geonosian prototype. This is a double pip, 2 unique. You can only have up to 2 of them in your squad. It says, "Wow, you perform a missile or cannon attack." So this is telling you that at least this one has a cannon slot. You may remove 1 tractor token from the defender to reroll up to 2 attack dice. So it says it right there in the name. It is designed to play with the Nantex. Interesting. I think cute. I don't know if it's good, especially with the current cost of Ensnare and getting tractors onto enemy ships in this format. While it's not the competitive play, I think it might be an interesting choice in like Aces High, where you're suspecting other people to bring tractor effects. Could be hilarious. Could absolutely be hilarious. But I'm gonna just grab this and smack it in the C tier. Ryan's pointing lower.
Too niche. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's like, do things with our ensnare. No, bad game design. Get away.
Max is like, please, play with my toys.
I will say that, I mean, if this can carry cannons, and you can have 2 of them, we do have tractor beam cannons.
True.
Which could work for like a swarm as well. If this is the I-2 shooting first, and then a bunch of I-1s shoot after him. Has potential.
But then you would have had to take in 2 of them that have tractor beams. So you're like, all right, bro, you tractor beam, and now I'm going to fire my tractor beam?
No, you're overthinking it now. All right, you're overthinking it, and that's not gonna be good.
I agree.
It's C tier.
And that's why it's C tier. All right, Marcel, the Onderanian oppressor.
Underonian Underon oppressor. After you barrel or side slip, if you are stressed, you gain 1 calculate token. Basically, just giving it a link, kind of a link to calculate. I don't know. I'm not loving it. And you get 2 of them. It's got 2, so you can have 2 of these on there. It's the side slip. They're not. It's only some of the side slips that are red, right? Depending on what maneuver.
I think Ryan has worked on it the most.
The 3-bank. The 1-bank and the 3-bank are red. I'll let you finish up, but I got a point on these guys.
Okay, good. Because I don't see a whole lot of value there. I mean, if they're costed at very similar to the Separatist Predator, then by all means take these instead of the Predator. But yeah, you say, because I don't see much.
So I think these guys might be the best gunship. None of the abilities in the gunship, we'll get to the last one in a second, are that over the top crazy. The big thing about the gunship is the side slip. In testing out the side slips and seeing how things move, the bank maneuvers are probably one of the most valuable, and being stuck with only the 2-bank feels kind of bad without having an action. So that 3-bank is huge. Like that is a solid move to the side and readjust my entire 180 and point it at you, and you get to calculate. On top of that, if you are trying to fully side flank somebody and do a 3-turn or a 2-turn, you can do a 3-turn, 2-turn side slip, which none of them are red, but then you could barrel yourself back, so that next turn when you do your 2-turn to start chasing them, which is blue, you've given yourself space to do that. So that's a barrel link to focus, basically. These guys just become one of the better side slips in the game, opening up that dial much more and giving yourself the pattern of movement you need to get these guys where they need to be in the most optimal position. I think these guys are the S tier of this ship.
I would probably not go S. I'd go A. But if you guys think it is, I'll bite, because, like I said, to me it's just a whatevs. It's a calculate. I mean, what's the name?
That's really the thing, is that what action would you be taking anyways? You should already have your lock. It's just, if you need to barrel roll, you're gonna get a calculate anyway. So
yeah, it's like what's his name? Like Forlam. He gets a calculate, but if Forlam gets 2 of them.
No, he only gets 1.
He only gets 1. Okay, then
well, because you probably have advanced sensors to calculate
and then do it. Yeah, but anyway, I would say A at best. But if you want,
because
it was my ship. It was my turn. I'll give it an A.
What I'll do is I'll place it on the.
I'm cool with that, because it's not over the top crazy like the LAAT is an S, for example. So A still makes sense.
Sounds good. And Ryan, yours is the last but not least here on the ships. DGS 286.
So 286 is I3. Before you engage, you may choose another friendly ship at range 0 to 1. The ship transfers 1 calculate token to you. So initially at first I said, all right, this guy's just a little greedy. He may work with a couple things here and there that is a little niche to give him to the calculate token with his lock, because he can't use network calculations. But then I thought one day, I'm like, wait a minute. If other ships can network calculate off of him, he's basically like a calculate bank. He's a tougher chassis to take down to strip calculates off the board, because there's definitely times where you're defending against an incoming bunch of fire and your drones are on the brink of death. You take the calculate anyway because you want to network it around, but one dies with an unused calculate. So you can take a cheaper ship that's likely going to be put in a death situation, pass the calculate over to this guy and have him hold on to it for you. He's like he's like, oh, you want to make a deposit of calculates, and then whenever someone needs to make a withdrawal, they'll pull it out of the bank.
There you go. So this one out of all of them has probably the best ability that works with other things in the faction. I like that. That seems solid. Where are we putting it?
Still maybe a little niche. I'm gonna stay B tier. It's a high B, low A, but it's got some interesting things that might work out for itself.
All right, so after taking a look at those, the pilots end up like so. Again, the generics are not placed in the tiers yet because their placement is entirely up to the cost on those. So now let's go ahead and roll into the upgrades. Not too many here. We only got 5 more cards to look at. But we definitely have some interesting discussions on the way because we have some cards that can be played in other factions. Here we go. So I'm actually going to roll back to Ryan here. I know you've done a lot of... Will, have you looked at the side slip stuff yet?
I haven't put it out into practice. I mean, I've put I put the ships on the table. I mean, I've looked at the physical maneuvering of the ship to see what that actually means. But I'm pretty familiar with Echo decloaking and some Star Viper barrel rolls. So I'm kind of in agreement that the banks are what's up on the whole side slipping. I just don't. I'm interested to see how it's going to work turn to turn. That's going to be the interesting part.
Yeah, it's going to be the arc management. Now, here's the question. Do we think, is this going to be similar to struts where it's 1 point? Is it going to be 0? It's auto included?
That's a good question.
Chat, what do you guys think? 0 or 1? Where are we going to put it at? Because it's going to be one of those two, right?
I think it's going to be higher.
I feel like it has to be. I feel like it has to be worth something. As goofy as that sounds, as much as I want it to be costed at 0, and just you need to fly these things with the repulsors, they have 180-degree arc. Their dial's not terrible. I would realistically fly this thing without them if I could get a discount. So, yeah, I could see it being up to 3 points.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think 3.
All right, so go ahead.
I personally don't care for what cost it has. I just hope the package is costed correctly, because I think it's, like the struts, it's such a unique, cool, thematic-based ability for the chassis itself that I hope they just, 0, cool, just build the cost into the chassis. If it's 1, fine, whatever you want, whatever they want to do. But the higher the cost of that config and the lower the cost of the ship, I don't know, it's just the weirder it's going to feel with these guys on the board. I
agree that you should be using this configuration. It dramatically changes the ship on how it functions and moves around the board. But so do struts, though, and struts cost points.
Based on the fact that there is one specific unique card pilot that specifically references side slips, every other config I think we have in the game with unique pilot that has it referencing it, X-Wing with the S-foils with Levin Tenza, I believe. And then...
That's Kilby Sporado.
We've had no droid specifically mention struts. We've had no gunship specifically mention its configs, but it has secondary weapons based on that. So I think because these stabilizers are specifically referenced in the side slip used by a ship, it's going to be 0 and built into the cost.
That's good speculation. I like it. So, Will, where are we putting it?
Oh, the repulsors?
Yeah.
Ooh, S tier. This is bonkers. This is it's game changing. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like nothing we've ever seen before, and very powerful.
Awesome. All right. Next, we get to our tactical relay that's been spoiled in this pack. We got Kalani. It says, after an enemy ship executes a maneuver, if it is in your bullseye, it is in the bullseye of a friendly ship at range 0 to 3, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, that friendly ship acquires a lock on that enemy ship, then gains 1 stress token. It's important to note that it has 3 charges, and it has 3 recurring arrows going up, which means all 3 of them come back each turn, which limits the number of friendly ships that can do this to 3 each turn. It also adds the calculate action to the bar if a ship doesn't have it already, the white calculate. So, I mean, looking at the flexibility, I think similar to all of the tactical relays, the ability seems... I think the problem is what chassis is it on. I mean, it's probably made for the Belba Lab, right? Some type of small base that can actually consistently get the bullseye on. I think it's going to really come down to the price. I'm going to slap it in the A tier because being able to dish out locks seems really great. 3 of them a turn, but could easily slide in either direction depending on the costs. Any strong feelings on it outside of that?
You can. It'll give the Nantex some target locks.
That's true.
Yeah, those Nantex don't want to be stressed, though.
Yeah, but they're also turrets, though, too. And what? They don't want to be stressed. They got 3 bank blues. They're fine.
I've seen a lot of Nantex prefer hard turn maneuvers.
Well, yeah, if you're trying to keep bullseye. But I think this is pretty strong. I remember the developers talking about how in initial plays testing, it didn't have a limit. It was just, take a stress if you want to do that. And it was too powerful to just have all 8 of my ships get locks on you. Thanks for landing in my bullseye. Good luck with that.
Well, I think it could be amazing on the freaking droids. Like, they have 2 hard turns that are blue, right? They're like, all right, calculate target lock without having to spend, an action.
Oh no, we'll see this in play. You wait till triple tri-fighter and support is an archetype. Then it's on.
Vroom, vroom.
Yummy, yummy.
Vroom, vroom. they got blue maneuvers.
I mean, so the gunship side slip, when it does its 2-turn, it's a 2-turn blue.
It's true. It clears the stress. I mean, I think this would be good. I'm never impressed by bullseye mechanics. When trying to mass, or what do I want to say? Like force multiplier bullseye effects, because you're paying to use it 3 times, but if you don't use it at all.
Well, I guess the two questions I have then: does it matter that much if the bullseye is only based upon after execute maneuver? It's not like you need to shoot someone in a bullseye. You just need to catch someone who lands in a bullseye after a maneuver that they normally can't reposition around.
So maybe
exactly. So it's more like a snapshot or a foresight at that point.
And then on top
I think
of
is
that,
better. Is significantly better.
The issue Kalani's going to have is it's going to directly compete with probe droids. If you can set up locks with probe droids, why would you take Kalani? And if probe droids are cheaper, then and if we think the gunships, since they have a device coming up soon, some of them can take a device, which means they can take probe droids. So why would we ever take Kalani if locks are set up correctly?
It's probably going to be an efficiency call, right? Like if you depending on what you're bringing in your list, if you don't have a device slot in your list, let's say you have all vultures and a Belba Lab, then your only choice becomes, if you want locks, is Kalani is the call again. But it's going to be, I think this is going to be a straight efficiency choice. It just depends on where the cost ends up and which one you actually end up bringing. Alrighty, here we go. Concussion bombs, Marcel.
Concussion bombs. During the system phase, 3 charges. During the system phase, if any of this card's charges are inactive, you must spend a charge to drop 1 concussion bomb, if able. Otherwise, you may spend 1 charge to drop 1 concussion bomb. So basically, it's it's spam bombs 3 turns in a row unless you drop the bomb and then reload during that engagement phase, and then you can save it. And then it's not on here, but basically it's the effect is take 1 damage at 0 to 1, right?
Yeah, I have the article pulled up. It says, then each ship at range 0 to 1 must expose a damage card. Or, excuse me, sorry. When this device detonates, each ship and
Range 0 to
remote
1.
at range 0 to 1 is dealt a face-down damage card. Then each ship at range 0 to 1 must expose the damage card unless it gains a strain token. So if you don't want that to be a crit, you have to take a strain. And that's right
Yeah.
before combat is when most bombs detonate.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good. Especially against those aces. If you happen to land one on an ace, and then it's like, okay, you're 3. Soon you're going to be at 2 agility now, or you got to take a crit. Not to mention you already got a damage in. Same thing against anything that puts damage direct to the bottom. Is really good. And then we talked about it earlier with Deadeye. Was it Deadeye Shot or Deadeye?
Deadeye shot.
Yeah, so with Deadeye Shot, and just pair these up with Deadeye Shot to just flip those crits that go in, so that they get a strain, and then on top of that, you can flip the crit anyway. It's gonna be really good. I like it. I'm gonna put this in the S tier.
It is a really strong bomb. It's the first one that we have that has 3 charges on it, even though you do have to drop them all consecutively, unless you're a ship that has reload, and then you can stop the bombs from leaking out. What chassis do we think, outside of this one, that might like this bomb?
I think the bombers. Well, the strikers and the bomber.
TIE
the
bomber?
actual. Huh?
The TIE bomber?
Yeah, the regular TIE bomber, because they can drop it in multiple directions. So TIE bomber with the gunner that lets it range, change to range 1 and 2. So now you can put these things in range 1 and 2, in any direction behind you. So that'll be
good
really
old
good.
Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fett.
Is this-
Soul Sixa and Nim?
And Amin Izam Zum.
Iman Azamine.
There you go.
Is there any way to get Nim reload?
No.
Nope.
0.
Not yet.
Good thing.
Watch out for that card. Watch out when we
you
get a
could get-
pilot that does that. Watch out. That's gonna be coming out.
I mean,
Don't do it.
you get Fuse's and Nim's ability. Like, you could just get them all dropped right away and just have them lingering.
Do these work with launch? Can you launch
Yep.
these?
Oh yeah.
You can launch this.
Launch is a replacement effect for drop, which, by the
Okay.
way, this card has a typo. It doesn't say drop using a 1 straight like most other bombs do. We're assuming that's a typo.
Oh yeah. I thought Bohan
Do what you want,
talked
man.
about it. Yeah, just put it anyway.
Just drop it. Whatever, simple. It's cool.
Yeah, 3 hard, 2 soft. Yeah.
Now, there's the question. I guess that's the question I was having. Is you must drop prevent you from launching it?
Must being that you have to spend the charge to drop. It doesn't say that you can't replace that drop with launch, though.
So the must is spending the charge?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's my rules question on that one.
I feel like we've been down the road before. I think almost in any situation where it says drop, it's just like you had said, replacement effect. There.
Okay.
I think at least that's what we
Makes
think.
sense.
But we'll cross the bridge when we get there. We have a week after crate. A week before crate to figure out all these effects when these cards come out for crate. So that's going to be fun. All right, Ryan, the multi. Sorry, Will. Where? Wait, we already did that. We already put it in there. That's fine. Never mind. Ryan, multi missile pods. Got lost there for a second.
Multi-missile pod, the 2 missile slot upgrade card, actually was one of the first things shown in this wave. It is a TAC with a requirement of calculate or lock. has a 2-die attack full front arc, so the full 180, only range 1 to 2, no range bonuses, 5 charges. So spend 1 charge to use the attack. If the defender is in your front arc, you may spend 1 charge to roll an additional die. If the defender is in your bullseye, you may spend 2 charges to roll that many additional dice instead. So this is like the more on target you are, the more dice you get. Its requirement being 2 missile, there's only so many ships in the game that can do that. If I recall correctly, that includes the HMP gunship, likely the LAAT gunship, because this card is in its spread. It is available to put on TIE aggressors, TIE bombers, gunboats. Am I missing any other? K-Wings, thank you.
Punishers.
So I think the biggest thing that's like restricting this in being, in my opinion, if it becomes expensive, I don't think it's going to be a good card because it is only the range 1 to 2 in the full 180 arc. And there's no range bonus. Even if they get to range 1, if they're in the side, you're not adding anything to it. If they get to range 1 in your front, they might be in bullseye. There's your 4 dice. So there is a solid high dice pool with this. But especially if it's something that goes on the HMP gunships, you're really not adding anything more than the special front arc, bullseye arc additional dice. I don't know it. This might be a dead-eye shot situation. It could be pretty good at 2 or 3 points. If it's more than 3, I don't know if it ever sees play. Does anyone else disagree with that?
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. This is. I was just pulling up what barrage rockets are. What's the current price on barrage rockets these
8.
days?
It's 8.
8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is gonna have to be like 4 or 5 at most to ever see play. And
I think in addition to that, I know some people were looking like, oh, TIE aggressors, oh my God, this can save them. They would just rather take the dorsal turret. It's way cheaper and
way easier
easier to use.
You get the diagonal 180 instead of the front 180, which is, by the way, diagonal 180s are better than fronts.
Yeah, but Dion, you could put the dorsal in the back, though.
And then do the missile pods in the front.
That's 270 degrees of arc, Dion.
Look at so much arc.
Yeah, what other ship has that? Let's see, the K-Wings?
K-Wings could do it. That's a lot of arc
barrage
for the K-Wings.
And how good are those? And then the other one says the resistance bombers can do that natively. And how good are those?
So the other difficulty is that if you're not something that has calculate, you need to get a lock to just use this.
Yep.
Which is also a huge limiting factor. You're telling something that if I want to use this, I have to lock, which already is a pretty bad strategy for most ships across the entire game, unless you're a higher initiative ship that can get a lock, or fancy way of acquiring a lock from a long distance. But man, I mean, even at 3 points, I might see like, all right, where does this fit? But so this is dead-eye shot territory. I think it's B tier if it's priced well. If it's priced bad, it's in like dead-eye shot trash territory.
All right, noted. And last but not least, synced laser turret. Will, take it away.
It's a synced laser cannons.
Cannons, excuse me, sorry.
No worries. This is a double cannon upgrade that's range 2 to 3 and front arc 3 attack dice. And says, attack. If you are calculating, the defender does not apply the range bonus. I'll let Ryan get into the ability here in a bit. I'm going to focus on a range 3 cannon. What? But that does full damage. Right now we only have the ion cannon, which doesn't put out multiple damages, though I do believe ions sometimes more powerful than a damage. But let's break down, other than the obvious, the Geonosian prototype, that's definitely going to have some cannon slots and some utility with it. And I do think for the HMP gunship, this is very powerful. Way to get 3 dice at range 2 to 3 out their front arc. That's exactly what they're looking for. The other people that can use it are B-Wings, especially with the double shot configuration. Could be very powerful there. And of course, IG-88B. He's going to love it. Same thing. A cannon that can do damage at range 3 with 3 attack dice. Very powerful. But the benefit that IGs have is that they have natural calculating. So, Ryan, tell me about... But wait, my IG's got... Well, I guess IG would have extra calculates. But my HMP gunship, 3 dice, spend the calculate. Ryan, you don't get your range bonus because I was calculating.
Yeah, people are immediately like, "Oh yeah, calculating. I'm gonna take a calculate token. I'm gonna shoot this thing. They're not gonna get a range bonus. It's gonna be just like Barrage Rocket." No, wait, halt, step back. If you are calculating, that is a status of being in this game. So you have to. It's like saying you're evading or you are focused. You have to maintain that token with you after your mods are completed and while the opponent is rolling their defense dice, which is when this would matter. So you either better be IGs that have 2 calculates, or you better have a lock and that be how you get that bonus. I think this bonus is just a small additional gravy based upon how this works.
Agreed.
I mean, I think it sounds great. Like, if you just roll hit blank, and you get to sit on your calculate, all the better. It's as if you took one of their potential evades away already. It almost has not quite an advanced optics feel to it, but I think it's a similar effect.
Yeah, I think the robots are going to love it. Not just B, but any of them, especially A. A gets to toss tokens around to other ones. So yeah, depends on how it's costed, but I know the IGs will really like it.
Well, the fact that it's going to be on very specific chassis, like they could have a lot of control about what chassis this is going to have access to. And personally, I think B-Wings are overpriced right now as it is. Not like they can't perform at that price. They're just really expensive.
But do you also, in order to get B-Wings calculate, I mean, I guess never mind. You guess that's just for the double shot. Yeah,
is that this isn't going to hurt them because they're only going to use some of it. I mean, K2SO B-Wings do love stress, so that's not too big of a deal. But then you got to bring crew carry, yada yada. So I think this could be fairly cheap. I'm talking 4, maybe 5 points.
All right, where are we putting it?
Oh, this. Ooh, that's the problem of man. I think this is going to be A tier for sure. Not S tier, just A tier.
Just kind of okay.
I mean, A tier is pretty good. Better than average.
I like it. All right, so we're gonna get that up here so that we can see where all these go. Let's pop them out. Bam. That's our final tier list for the HMP. You can see those multi-missile pods starting to slip towards the C tier. Just depends on where things end up. So that's our initial way too early ranking. Just looking at the abilities, just kind of taking a guess at where things end up, and we'll reevaluate as it comes up. Now we actually have quite a bit quite a few questions of the week. We'll hopefully get to them, but I want to quickly hit up the list of the week. All right, guys, only one iteration. We don't got time for your 12 iterations, okay? You guys breaking my rules all the time. I see him look at Marcel's face. Marcel's face like, you talking about me? You talking? Marcel, scum, Psych J7 sent us a scum list. Let's go ahead and bring it up right here. Boom, there it is. So he says, I've been working on a way to give my opponent various status effects in battle, but unsure if Ketsu is the way to go for initiative against Nantex, or if Asajj would be a better option. The list is Han Solo in the YT 1300 with Trickshot, Lando Calrissian, IG-88D, and Lando's Millennium Falcon. We got Ketsu in the Lancer with Fearless, 000, and the Shadowcaster title, and 2 Jakku Gunrunners in the Quad Jumper sitting at 200 points. What are we gonna do, Marcel?
Oh God. So all right. So I gotta skip one.
I got him. Give me the best one. The best one.
All right, give me the best one, because I had one that keeps all the ships the same except one of the pilots. But okay, I'll give you the better one. All right. So let's start off by doing the requirements. So take that fourth ship, the Jakku Gunrunner, and that'll be my change. No, don't take them off. Just go there and change the quad jumper to my good old boy, the Escape Craft. And
So
yes,
predictable.
we've seen this party before. We've seen this party before. And he's right about Ketsu not being the best carrier for this, so let's switch to Asajj. And basically the synergy there, and it's gonna, again, this is taking it back to a list basically that very similar to what I flew in the LA Galaxy. Okay, so Asajj's ability plays off really well with Han's Lando Millennium Falcon title, which stress allows Lando to take an additional, get an additional die. And then in order to take advantage of the Shadowcaster title, we want to put heightened perception on there, so that if you get the opportunity to, you can shoot at initiative 7, not get initiative killed, but also shoot at initiative 7, tractor something, stress something, tractor something, and maybe even reposition them so that they're hiding behind a debris or rock, so that Han Solo can
Do his
can
thing.
really throw 5 or 6 dice. Yeah, with that list, I was consistently getting 5 and 6 dice out of Han Solo. It's really good. The only problem is that I was usually shooting without mods. So just take mods. All right, so let's switch IGD3 because we're not gonna use. I know why he originally had it, but we're not gonna use Lando for rerolls either. So let's put Kira. Kira's just too good with Han Solo. You want to be able to, especially if there's a lot of gas clouds, you don't want them to get that free evade from that gas cloud. So you're rolling 2 extra dice and denying them the extra defense. And let's put Ketsu Onyo. So we took Ketsu out of the pilot seat and we're putting them into Han's co-pilot seat. And essentially, Ketsu, since you've got a couple ways to tractor, you get to pick one ship at range 0 to 2. Is it 0 to 2 or 1 to 2? It's
0 to 2.
0 to 2. So you get to pick one ship that basically keeps its tractor, and you get to keep doing fun stuff to it. All right, and finally, just a Jakku Gunrunner. Let's change that to Zubio. So for an extra 1 point, you shoot all the way up to initiative 4. And then we're going to do a cloaking device because it's hilarious. Proximity mines, because you get to throw the proximity mines out of the front and the back. Delayed fuses. And I actually like this better than the one that I flew because I like Ketsu. I think Ketsu and throw pattern analyzer as well in there.
All right, so you end up at 198.
Nope. I'm going to throw one more thing on there.
Oh,
too.
one more thing.
So pattern analyzer, basically this lets Constable Zubio throw a bomb behind him or in front of him with delayed fuse. He can fly over it and then still tractor somebody into it. It makes it really hard for people to avoid the bombs. You could basically drop it on anyone you want. Then the last 2 points are going to go Asajj within Contraband Cybernetics. Give Asajj some tokens when Chicane turns.
All right, so Psych is in the chat, and he says, thanks. I'll go ahead and read it off for anybody who's maybe listening and not watching. So we end up with Han Solo with Trickshot, Ketsu Onyo, Kira, and Lando's Millennium Falcon. Asajj with Heightened Perception, 000, Contraband Cybernetics, and Shadowcaster title. Constable Zubio in the Quad Jumper with Pattern Analyzer, Proximity Mines, Cloaking Device, and Delayed Fuses. And of course, Marcel's Autopilot Drone, sitting at 200 points. Next, we move on to Dancer Minter, who sent us an Imperial list. Ryan's going to take a look at this. And on the onset, he's sent us an Omicron group pilot, that is the lowest initiative Lambda shuttle with passive sensors, Darth Vader, crew, and Admiral Sloan, and taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Academy TIE fighters. The prompt says, given the rise of Sloan in the Empire, thoughts on the absolute maximum bodies with it?
All right, so the original Sloan utilizing the Omicron group pilot is always a solid chassis. It has reinforce. And now adding Vader, it adds that additional level of either auto damage or getting rid of tokens to make the damage from the ties even better. I think this is actually a solid starting point for a list. I would consider using it. If I were to give another variation, I would say, let's see what we can do with the points of Vader and passive sensors. Because I don't see passive sensors being used that often on the Omicron group pilot. You want to reinforce to keep Sloan there. So let's take out Vader and passive sensors.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to replace 2 of the academies with TIE Advanced V1 Barons of the Empire. Adding some I3, some great maneuverability, some really good linked actions that have a combination that allows them to take that focus with booster barrel roll, and they'll get the rerolls with Sloan. You got 4 points left. I choose to opt in to putting hull upgrade on the Omicron group, increasing its damage threshold line since it becomes an odd number at that point, and increasing theoretically the life of Sloan. You could use that 4 points to put on ST-321. I just don't know how often you are coordinating with this ship in this build specifically. So that's why I prefer hull upgrade.
All right, so we have the Omicron group with hull upgrade Admiral Sloan, 4 Academy pilots, and 2 Barons of the Empire, ending at 199 points. Awesome. And last but not least, we have Jude Allen, who sent in a Rebel list. By the way, you can send in your own list on our list of the week. Go ahead. It's on our Discord, ! Discord if you're watching live, or click the link in the description down below if you are listening or watching later on. And I will tell you this, when we're looking for lists of the week, I don't just take like the last 3 people who do it. I usually pick lists that are a little bit different. Like if you just sent me a meta list that's already a known thing, I'm probably not going to pick it. Just to kind of understand the reasoning of how I pick. So Jude Allen says here, this is the list I flew in Dathomir. I went 4 and 2 and I love it. I wanted to get your opinion on leaving it as is or swapping out Arc Nora for a cheaper Y-Wing Nora so I can put proton torpedoes on Wedge or some other adjustment. Thanks.
Well, congratulations with the list and the placement. I do think it functionally works fine. Nora wants to be range 1. Blount likes people at range 1. Wedge is good. And Tin Nub can modify dice and shoot well. My first thought when analyzing this list is that I would prefer Jake as a pocket ace over Blount. I do think Arc Nora is good. So I basically just went down that rabbit hole of what if Blount was Jake. But I did have to. I don't think I end up with the right points. Hold on, I'm gonna make Dion.
All right, so just the swap gets us to 204. What's after that?
We had to get rid of 10 Nub then. I do think it's good, but man, as I said before, like he's 1 point more than Nora. That's crazy to me. I guess he shoots twice, but we're just gonna drop him completely. Get him out of there.
We're just ripping 10 Nub out of the list. Oh,
yeah,
ripped.
Yeah,
okay.
He's slow. He's I4. We're gonna replace him with somebody who's fast and I5. That's gonna be Thane Kyrell. Yeah, Kyrell. I forgot his last name for a second. It's an I5 X-Wing. I normally lean towards Garvin, but the I5 is going to work better with Nora. In that regard, you're going to have Jake supporting these people, and I don't know if this is better, but I'm going to put I got 4 points left over, right? Yeah. Intimidation Zeb. Nora. She likes being range 0, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Zeb lets you shoot people at range 0, and Intimidation loses their agility when you're touching each other. So that's a double reduction for Wedge. Lets Thane and Jake hit just as hard as Wedge would, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nora can still... what I was saying, it really turns into a blocker. So you don't mind not having a bid. This is interesting. I don't know if this is better. I'll probably say that this is not better than Blount and 10, but it is. What do I was saying? I think it creates like a different play style. The Nora creates. You basically get to choose between: do you shoot at Nora as the tank who's coming right at you, don't care. 10 who is going to hit hard, or Wedge who's also going to hit hard. So the original, then like just forget about Blount, like don't worry about him. Is I think the basis, and I don't think I could. This is what I would fly because like I said, I would just prefer Jake. It's just so good. I think this would be the version I would fly for it, I guess. But I think you're the first. What do you got? I'll bounce it to you guys then. What's more competitive? Which of the two lists?
So
this or the one that you started with?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think probably what does feel good about having Lieutenant Blount in the list is getting that additional attack die that he does, like that has right.
He's tiny X-Wing,
exactly, because I can be an X-Wing, I promise. So that probably feels nice. But you can't argue with the utility of Jake. You can't. Yeah,
Jake's pretty good.
Yeah, Jake's really good.
But I
you
just
could even lean into instead of going Thane, you could do Jack, who's a solid I4 that partners good with Jake's ability for the double mod as well.
Yeah, I just thought that if in competitive play, I5 is supreme right now. Like that's what you should be shooting for.
And can I also say that another big difference between what you made here, Will, and what he had before is the play style. Just swapping out those two ships, essentially Jake for like it completely changes the play style. Yeah, the other one I feel is a more of like a one forward to victory type of list, which is fine.
That's what I felt like. Yeah.
Right. This is it's a little more hybrid. So what this might do is actually give you a better matchup when you need more maneuverability. Just a little thing to think there.
Because Jake and Thane, sure, Nora's still slow, but she's a medium base. She can figure it out. But yeah, Jake and Thane can just, if they're like, oh, shoot, we got the flank. Boost.
Right.
So, yeah, it certainly is faster, and not the one forward to victory style.
Awesome. All right, cool. So, Jude Allen, you end up with Nora with Intimidation and Zeb, Wedge with Predator and S-Foils, Jake, Naked, and Thane Kyrell, and sitting at 200 points. Now we're going to move into our lists. Our questions of the week. We got three really good ones. The first one comes from QGT. Cutie, it might be what the attempt is. I'm not sure. QJTY says, after thinking about last week's, this actually would have been 2 weeks ago, podcast, do you think there will ever be a place for a 4 agility ship in the game? And do you think it would be broken? And we'll just leave it at that. The question, there's more sections in there. We're just going to, simple, yes, no. Do you think there's a place in the game for a 4 agility ship? Will?
Yes.
Ryan?
Not with gas clouds.
Marcel?
Yes.
And I'm going to side with yes. And the only reason I'm going to say yes is because of the recent change of saying that you cannot have more than 6 dice. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the caveat would be that it would need to have really low health, or just be a wet noodle out there, which then brings in the next question. The second part is his caveat would be like, well, you sacrifice attack, you go down to 1 attack dice. Now, we've been there before. We've had a ship that had 1 attack die. So it would have to be a support ship of some kind, but then the problem is that if the support ability is that good that it doesn't even need to hit, then maybe that's the problem. Like, it's too hard to kill. I don't know. That's an interesting rabbit hole.
It's called the Count Zubio that I just showed is it's permanently cloaked. It's a 4 agility, and it's not shooting because it's cloaked, and it's just sitting there tractoring, getting in the way, and dropping proximity mines. So it's not broken. Trust me, I lost with it plenty. So it's not broken, and damage does get into it, and it has an evade too. I can take an evade or a focus.
Yeah, I think that the Nantex have shown us that you can change the initial stats of a ship, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they come in as a 3 agility ship, but if you want to be fancy, you end up being just a 2 agility ship. So I can see something very similar to that of, like, you have 4 agility, but you had to reduce your agility or take a strain token to do something. Like, something like, if you modify your attack dice, take a strain token or something goofy like that, where to put out actual damage, you had to weaken yourself as well.
All right, cool. Good mini discussion. Next question comes from Oof the Deep. It says, I'm curious why the aggressor, we're talking about the scum aggressor, gets so little love. How many 3 agility ships have 8 health? Doesn't that make it as survivable as a TIE defender? So, I'm going to start by asking the survivable as a TIE defender. Absolutely not. The aggressor does not get free evades after doing movements that it normally does. You might say, well, what about the one that gives you an evade after you boost? But you have to spend an action to do that. Defender's just like, look, I did a move, I get an evade. So that point is moot. I think one of the reasons why it doesn't get too much love is some of the restrictions on it with its current costs and upgrades, though it is important to note that somebody did do quite well with it at Corellia. I'll be quiet. You guys give any other thoughts on the aggressor?
For me, it's actually just the medium base makes it really hard to try to behave like an ace. So it has the stat line of an ace, and even you give it contraband cybernetics, and it's got double tokens, and it's got ability to have more, because you can, if you build it correctly, you can boost, get an evade, and then get tokens thrown at you from other places. But I think it's just because it only has the one arc, and it's a medium base. It just makes it really hard to keep time on target, even with the K turns, even with the sloops and the contraband. That's where the arc 170s and the Bubble Fett, they can play the ace game because they have 2 arcs and they can do more things. So I think that for me, that's the biggest. That's the biggest thing is they don't have. It's really hard to maneuver them the way you want to.
What were you gonna say, Will?
I'm complete agreement. I was just gonna say that it's not really ace play, more of like being a turret. But I think the not having a barrel roll and only having boost means that you are rarely going to be able to arc dodge. You most likely can. The best thing you can do is just get on a flank, just get in behind somebody, and that's the best you can do. Essentially, that they have to K-turn too often, and they got a front arc only. They used to be able to boost as well. I guess you still have advanced sensors. That just feels like it makes them real expensive. Joan, do you remember that 2-ship?
Yep, I literally just pulled it up. So, Umlauf, if you really want to play IGs, this is the list to play. Benish took it to the top 8 of Corellia. He had IG-88B with Elusive, Advanced Sensors, Auto Blasters, Ion Cannon, Proton Bombs, Contraband Cybernetics, Shield Upgrade, and the IG-2000 title. IG-88D had the exact same loadout, focusing on defense and trying to get efficiency built in there. That's the best we have right now. Hopefully you can find some love, but don't think it's as survivable as a defender if you're not carrying all those toys. At least
those are 100-point ships.
Yes, sir.
Loaded out like that.
100 each. 100 in this arm. 100. That was really stupid. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Okay, so the last question is directed more towards me, and I wanted to address it because it's something that's been coming up in the Discord a little bit. Time for a little bit Dion vulnerability here. So it comes from Gary McDowell, and he asks. I'll start in the middle. Yeah. It says. We're appreciative of the time and the effort, Dion, that you put into maintaining the community. I don't doubt that you enjoy what you do, but my question is, do you sometimes feel the weight of this burden, and how do you deal with it the days when you don't feel up putting in the effort? As I'm sure we all do in some aspects of our lives with something. So it's definitely something I don't talk about too much. Stress management is just part of life. Do I feel the weight? I would say sometimes. I try not to think about it too much and know that as a podcast, as Gold Squadron, we do a lot for the community. And I do it because I enjoy it and it's fun. Do I have bad days? Everybody does. And we'll put it that way. And one of the things people have asked a lot is like, well, Dion, like, how do you manage all this stuff, and can we know more about all these other things you do? And I appreciate that the wanting to know about that, but I don't share it on Gold Squadron mostly because people come here for just X-Wing. If you want to know more about, I guess, me, Dion, because I've had enough people ask where they're like, oh, can you upload some videos about X, Y, and Z on the channel? I want to keep Gold Squadron specifically just for X-Wing stuff, but I am planning on making a YouTube channel that's just stuff that I want to do that isn't X-Wing. Some of it will be Star Wars related, and if you're curious, I'm planning on uploading the first video in 2 weeks. I think I'm editing it right now about some different things. Have some fun things planned. If you want, the first video is going to be about how to say my name. So, and a story, very good story I have behind that. So hopefully you enjoyed our podcast today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Much love. Gold, Squadron out.